Welcome to the sixth video of particle physics. Here we'll discuss some basic mathematics and quantum physics. Especially we'll look into CG coefficient, which is very important. Starting with, we know odd function and even function. What Noether's theorem told us that any conservation law can be related to symmetry. Okay, now these are some symmetry and the conservation law relation. First one is translation in time related to energy, translation in space related to momentum, or you can say linear momentum. Then rotation is related to angular momentum. Now while doing rotation it must obey some symmetry rules, and then only we can say that angular momentum is conserved. Fourth one is Gauss transformation, and during this the charge is conserved. Conservation law of charge is valid. Now some important groups in particle physics. UN is actually n cross n of unitary group. U inverse of U is equals to 1, and U transpose conjugate of U into U is equals to 1. SUN is n cross n unitary matrix with determinant 1. ON is n cross n orthogonal matrix. It has the same property that as unitary matrix. O inverse of O is equals to 1, and then O transpose of O is equals to 1. Now next one is SON. SON is n cross n orthogonal with determinant 1. Okay, so what we can see from here that U inverse is actually equals to U transpose conjugate, and then O inverse is proportional is equals to O transpose. Okay, so these are the representations that I used. Now in case, what is actually SON? SON is a group of all rotations in a space of n dimension. We'll discuss about SU and U later. Okay, now some classification of particle by on the basis of their spin. Boson has integral spin. One can say that some can have a spin 0, then a spin 1, and fermion has half integral integer spin. It can have a spin half, a spin 3/2. Now the particles that obey spin 0 are pseudoscalar mesons. Particles that obey spin 1 are mediators, and also known as vector mesons. Okay, and then fermions are obeyed by, for spin half it is quarks, leptons, and then baryon octet. Okay, spin 3/2 is actually obeyed by baryon decuplet. Angular momentum, simply we know that these are the eigenvalues of L square and Lz, and where the ml of Lz is extended from minus L to plus L to L plus 1 possibility. Similarly, spin has its fair share, S square and Sz. Eigenvalues are these, and then ms can be said that it extends from minus h to plus s. For in case of pions and kaons, the s is equals to 0. Now here the addition of angular momentum. We are moving to addition of angular momentum. Now angular momentum or spin states are represented by L comma ml. In case of ket, we call it ket representation. Okay, so it is actually a ket representation. It is actually represented as a ket representation of L comma ml or S comma ms, or you can say J comma mj. J comma mj in form of ket. We can write it. Now total momentum is simply J is equals to L plus S to L minus S. Now if we have a lot of J's, then we can also add it from J is equals to J1 plus J2 to J1 minus J2. In case we know from high energy physics that these are the some formulas for angular momentum and then spin momentum, and for example we are taking S is equals to 1 and L is equals to 3, then the value of J is from L plus S to L minus S. When we do L plus S we get 4, and then when we do L minus S with mod term involved, then we get only 2. So it can extend from 2 to 4, and that set will be 2 3 4. So J can assume the value 2 and then 3 and then 4. Now we use the basic formula for evaluating J, and that is equals to J plus 1 h bar square. Okay, so after putting this we get 3 values of J square. Putting this we get the 3 values of J square eigenvalues. Okay, now we can obtain total angular momentum by combining J1 and J2, but occasionally we require to explicit decomposition J1 J2, and m1 m2 into states of total angular momentum. Actually what we want to say here is that we simply got the coupled state. Now if we want to relate this coupled state with the uncoupled state, then how can we say that a certain coupled state can be made by a certain uncoupled state with a certain probability? Okay, so for looking into that point of view, we ponder upon this CG coefficient, Clebsch-Gordon coefficient. Now suppose J1 M1 and J2 M2 are coupling, and then there is a constant that will counter all of these things, and it is also known as Clebsch-Gordon coefficient or CG coefficient. Okay. Now CG coefficient gives the probability of getting Jj plus 1 h bar square. If we measure J square on a system consisting of two angular momentum states J1 M1 and J2 M2, then the probability is the square of corresponding CG coefficient. A very important thing is that CG coefficient gives the probability. It gives the probability of getting the value Jj plus 1 via a certain method. Okay, via a certain method or via a certain coupling. Now we are here evaluating a CG coefficient so that you will understand to evaluate any CG coefficient given to you. Okay, now first basics, CG coefficient arises when two angular momenta couples. Okay, a common eigenstate of J square and Jz can be written as J comma M. Okay, where M is actually the eigenvalue of Jz and J is the eigenvalue of J square. For two angular momenta J1 and J2, the common eigenstate of J1 square Jz, J2 square J2z are this. I mean, obviously when we can write J and Jz as J comma M, then if J1 and J1z are used, then it would be J1 M1, then J2 square and J2z are used, then J2 M2. Okay. Similarly, we can have these four formulas. I mean, very easy formulas. Just substitute the 1 and 2. Okay. The combined eigenstate of J1 square, J2 square, J1z and J2z can be written as this term. Okay, J1 M1 cross product of J2 M2. This is kind of a tensorial cross product which converts into J1 M1 and then J2 M2. For two different values of J1 and J2, the number of uncoupled states are this. Remember the number of uncoupled state, it could come in an exam. Total angular momentum of coupled state is J1 plus J2. Z component can also be coupled. Now complete set of operators that we have is J1 square, J2 square, J square and Jz. Because J1z and J2z are coupled in Jz. Now the eigenstates are J1, J2, J and M. Can also be written as J comma M, but we simply write J1, J2, J comma M. Although we can neglect the J1 and J2 because throughout the evaluation these two terms will be same. So we can write it in this form only, J and M, no problem. Now CG coefficient expresses the coupled state as a linear combination of uncoupled state. As I told you earlier that any coupled state can be represented in any uncoupled state, but what is the probability that a certain coupling is occurring via a certain uncoupled states? Okay, so that is the kind of probability is governed by CG coefficient, and that probability we will evaluate here, and that probability is itself CG coefficient. Now this is the basic formula. J1 J2 Jm is equals to Jm. Obviously J1 J2 can be neglected, and it is equals to this as I showed you earlier, and this is called the CG coefficient. This term is called the CG coefficient. Okay, now moving further, we are having an example here. Here is an example. Consider J1 is equals to half and J2 is equals to half. Now M1 is equals to half and minus half, and M2 is equals to half and minus half. This M1 comes from J1, and if J1 is half, then M1 can be plus minus of J1. Okay. Similarly, M2 can be plus minus of J2. Now moving on, a total angular momentum. What will be the total angular momentum? J is equals to J1 plus J2 comma J1 minus J2. So it can be only 1 or 0. Now we have J is equals to 1 and J is equals to 0. For J is equals to 1, we have M is equals to 1, 0 and minus 1. For J is equals to 0, we have only M is equals to 0. So we can say that the couple states can be written as J1, J2, Jm, and these four are the couple states and these four are the uncoupled states. Okay, very well understand this. These are only J1, J2 that can be neglected. J1, J2 can be neglected in here also. Now for J is equals to 1, we have 1, 0 and minus 1. For J is equals to 0, we have 0. Okay. Now this M can be a sum of M1 and M2 half. This M is equals to 0 can be the sum of half and minus half. This M is equals to 0 can be the sum of minus half and half, and this minus 1 can be the sum of minus half and minus half. So from here on now we will evaluate CG coefficient. Now relation between coupling and uncoupled state. These are actually uncoupled states and these are coupled states. Now we want to know that how they are connected and what is the probability that this coupled state is connected to any other uncoupled state. What is its probability? So from first one we can see relation. First one is half 1 and half 1 and here we put a C1. Here we put a C1 and C1 into half. Now this one is actually J1 M1 and then J2 M2, and this is J1 J2 J and M. So M1 plus M2 half is equals to 1. Is it happening in any other case? Let's see. Half plus half is equals to 1. One case. Half minus half 0. Half minus half 0. Minus half minus 1. So it is only happening in this case. Only and only happening in this case. Therefore, we can say that the coefficient is only 1. And this question has come in GATE 2019. A straight question. What is the CG coefficient of this value? You simply have to write 1. Okay. Now moving on to the second one. We want this coupled state half 1 0 where M is 0. Now this M can be 0 only when M1 is half and M2 is minus half, or M1 is minus half and M2 is half. So this state can be a sum of these two states very easily. This can be a sum of these two states. So we give them coefficient C2 and C3. Okay. Now moving further. For the third case also, where half 0 this M is equals to 0. So it can only happen when M1 is equals to plus half, M2 is equals to minus half, or M1 is equals to minus half and M2 is equals to half. So we assign them a coefficient also C4 and C5. Now for the fourth case where M is equals to minus half, it can only happen with M1 is equals to minus half and M2 is equals to minus half. So we can straight up say that C6, the value of C6 is also 1. We can straight say that. Now now we are evaluating the CG coefficient. For the first case we saw that it is directly related. For M is equals to 1, M1 should be half and M2 is equals to half, positive half, and they both give 1. So the value of this coefficient is definitely 1, no problem. Now to move further and get the value of C2 and C3, we actually use a lowering operator, J minus operator. And in my previous video I told you that what is a J minus operator, or you can relate it with L minus operator or L plus minus operator. L plus minus is actually a ladder operator that is used either in angular momentum or in a spin momentum or in total angular momentum. Now here L plus minus is equals to H bar root under L minus plus of M, L plus minus of M plus 1 ket of L comma M plus minus 1. So if you are taking L minus, then lower terms are taken. So H bar, L plus M, L minus M plus 1, L comma M minus 1. Okay. So this term will be used. Remember this term. Very well remember that in the second term M is tending to M minus 1. So when we use lowering operator, that is J minus operator, then what will happen to both of them is that J minus operator will work here and it will give this eigenvalue of obviously, but it will change this eigenvector with M minus 1. Okay. Now it is acting in J1 M1 and J2 M2. So we are separating it. First we are doing it for J1 M1. Then J1 M1 is given here, the eigenvector, no, sorry, the eigenvalue, and the eigenfunction is M1 minus 1. For J2 M2, the J2 plus M2, J2 minus M2 plus 1, and here the M2 tends to M2 minus 1. Now when we put all the formulas that we have been given, where M was what? 1. It was 1. In case M was 1. And what was M1? Half. And what was M2? It was also half. And we know the value of J1 is half, J2 is half, and J is 1. So when we put this value, we get root under 2 of this value is equals to 1 into this plus 1 into this. So we can say that this is equals to 1 by root 2 times of this plus 1 by root 2 times of this ket. Okay. So these are actually the CG coefficient C3 and C2. So from here we get the coefficient C2 and C3, and these are actually 1 by root 2. Now for the third case, where half half 0 0 is equals to C4 times of half 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 minus half, and C5 times of half minus half half half. Okay, to find C4 and C5, here is a little bit of trick of orthogonality. You must have heard about orthogonality. If psi and psi are bracket is equals to 1, but if there is another function like a psi1 with psi, then it is equals to 0. It shows orthogonality and this shows normalization. Okay, this is something that we are going to use here. Now remember this term, remember this very well. This is actually what? Ket. This is ket. Now we are normalizing it and multiplying itself with this term. So what will it give? It will give this term with C4 square and C5 square. Now we know that the coefficients are actually the probability of a certain wave function. So we can say that these two probability will sum up and give 1. So C4 square plus C5 square is equals to 1. Of course they are probability, that is why. Now we have this one half half 0 0 and C4 times of this, C5 times of this we seen earlier. And we had, in case of when we were doing so for the coefficient C2 and C3, for the coefficient of C2 and C3 we have this ket function, and this ket function is half half 1 0 1 by root 2 times of, since we now know the value of C1 and C2 and C3, so we can say 1 by root 2 times of half 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 minus half, 1 by root 2 times of half minus half half half. Okay, so consider, let us say that this is psi1 wave function, this is psi2 wave function, this is psi3, and this is same as the above, so it is also psi3, and this one is psi4, and this is same as above, so this is also psi4. Now we multiply, we kind of merge this function with this function, this function with this, and this is with this. So you can say this is actually psi1, this will become psi1 into psi2. And when there are different wave function, then orthogonality rule will be used and this will become 0. Psi1 into psi2 will become 0. And when psi3 into psi3 will happen, it will become 1. When psi4 into psi4 will be multiplied, then it will become 1. So from here we get psi1 psi2 is equals to 0, psi3 is equals to 1, psi4 is equals to 1. So when we do when we normalize it, we write it in this form, and we certainly get C4 by root 2 and C5 by root 2. Now these two will add up and give 0, because this term is actually 0 because of the orthogonality rule. So here, from here, C4 is equals to minus 5, and we know from here that C4 square plus C5 square is equals to 1. So now C4 is equals to minus C5. So we put it back here and we get what? That C4 is equals to 1 by root 2 is equals to minus times of C5. So we get C4 is equals to 1 by root 2 and C5 is equals to minus 1 by root 2. Okay. Now for the last term, for C6 we have this one. Now m is equals to minus 1, and here m1 is equals to minus half and m2 is equals to minus half. They both add up to give minus 1, and this is the only unique term. So we say that the coefficient of C6 is also 1. Okay, now we have all the coefficient. We've got C1 is equals to 1, then C2 is equals to 1 by root 2, which is equals to C3, and then we got C4 is equals to 1 by root 2, and C5 is equals to minus 1 by root 2, and now we get C6 is equals to 1. Okay, so we have all the coefficient, so we can form a very decent kind of matrix in this form, where these are actually the coupled states, and these coupled states are coupled with uncoupled state with a certain probability of this matrix. Okay, so the probability of this coupled state to be with this uncoupled state is actually 1, and the probability of this coupled state to be with these two coupled states are actually 0.5 and 0.5. Similar goes for this coupled state. The probability of this coupled state to be with these two uncoupled states are half and half, and similarly the probability of this coupled state to be with this coupled state is actually 1. Okay, this is actually the CG coefficient matrix, and this matrix has two properties. It is actually orthogonal matrix and it is a unitary matrix. In later video I will discuss about matrix, all about matrix. Okay, moving on to spin. A spin can be represented as half is equals to 1 0, and then half of minus half is equals to 0 1, because we know that there are only two types of spin, one is half and one is minus half, obviously, and these are the values of ms, and obviously the spin is represented as s comma ms. So if s is half, then the value of s is ms is plus s and minus s. So the value of ms are plus half and minus half. It can also be represented in form of matrix like this. Okay, so it is commonly said that the spin half can only exist in these two states. These two states can only exist in these two states, but actually this is not possible. This is actually wrong, because for most of the cases the general state is the linear sum of linear combination of these two states. Okay, so here alpha beta can be represented as alpha 1 0 plus beta 0 1. It is kind of a linear combination of these two states 1 0 and 0 1, where alpha and beta are actually complex number. Now since SZ can only give us plus minus half h bar, does not prove that particle was in 1 0 or 0 1 state. Okay, when SZ can only give us plus minus half, but it does not mean that the particle was in only these states. It can be in any of the state with a certain linear combination. In general case, for alpha beta, it is kind of a linear combination. Alpha square is the probability that the measurement of SZ would yield the value plus half h bar, and beta square is the probability of getting minus half h bar. Therefore, it is a linear combination with certain probability, and those probabilities are given by alpha and beta. Now, since these are only allowed states, so we have alpha square plus beta square is equals to 1, kind of a normalization thing, where the probabilities are added and it is equals to 1. To each component of S we associate 2 cross 2 matrix. S can have three components, Sx, Sy and Sz, obviously in three directions. So we associate a 2 cross 2 matrix, and these are like this, Sx, Sy and Sz. Actually this is a del X matrix, and this is a del Y, and this is a del Z matrix. These three are called poly matrices. These are also called spinors. Okay. The eigenvalues of Sx are plus minus h bar by 2, and the corresponding normalized eigenvectors are this. When you will solve it using eigenvalue and eigenvector formulas, you will ponder upon this. Now when we do linear combination of these normalized eigenvectors, we got this alpha beta is equals to a times of 1 by root 2 1 by root 2 plus b times of 1 by root 2 minus of 1 by root 2. Now a is equals to this and b is equals to this. The probability of Sx of yielding h bar by 2 is actually a square, and this is the probability. Similarly, the probability that Sx is yielding minus h bar by 2, yani if the spin is downward, then its probability is b square. Now as I said that these three are actually poly matrices. These are very important matrices and they have a lot of properties. For now, del x is equals to 0 1 1 0, del y is equals to 0 minus 1 minus I 0, del z is equals to 1 0 0 minus 1. S is equals to h bar by 2 times of del is a spinor. So for Sx, h bar by 2 del x, Sy h bar by 2 del y, Sz h bar by 2 del z. So spinors are actually two component objects. Okay, they occupy an intermediate position between scalar, which are one component, and vector, which are three component. Component of spinors also transform under rotation. Obviously, as in case of Cartesian coordinate, we saw that when Cartesian coordinates are rotated, they give a new Cartesian coordinate. So it is also possible that spinors can also give a new coordinate. Okay, so under rotation. So here is a rule where we use u theta. U theta is actually a 2 cross 2 unitary matrix, where the value of u theta is e to the power minus I theta dot del by 2. Del is the spinor. Now vector theta points along the axis of rotation, and its magnitude is the angle of rotation about the axis. This is very important. What does vector theta signifies? It points along the axis of rotation, and its magnitude is the angle of rotation. Okay, so we can say that these types of exponential vectors can be written in a form of expanded matrix. These are called expanded matrix of exponential, and very important type of thing. In case of mathematical physics, you will get a lot of questions from here. Now u theta is a unitary matrix with a special case of determinant 1. The set of all such rotation matrices constitute the SU2 group. The number of rotation, the way they rotated, the way the spins are rotated, or all can be collected in one matrix, and that is called the SU2 group matrix, or you can say SO3 matrix in case of 3D. These are the collection of rotation of a certain spin. Okay, so in case of spin half, particles transform under rotations according to 2D representation of SU2. In case of spin 1, they are described by vectors, and they belong to 3D representation of SU2. Okay, and in case of spin 3 by 2, particles are described by a 4 component object transforming under 4D representation of SU2. So SU2 can have a lot of types of representation ranging from 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, depending on the spin of particles. So if spin was half, it was 2D. If spin was 1, it was 3D. If spin was 3 by 2, then it was 4D. If spin is 2, then it is 5D. If spin is 5 by 2, then it is 60. Like that, it is expanded. Now if you remember my lecture on, my video on how the electron's spin is actually half, then you will get the picture of this rotation, and that how they are rotating in a clockwise and anti-clockwise manner at the same time, and why is the particle rotating for 720 degree to get back to its initial state. Okay, so actually this SU2 group is the same group as SO3 group, as I said earlier, the group of rotations in 3D. Okay, so that's all for today. See you later.